This next recipe, Hünkar Beğendi, is one of my favorites just because it incorporates lamb and also eggplant. It's, in my mind, this is a great dish for the fall. I just absolutely love it. So what I've done is I marinated my lamb overnight, and I marinated this with a little bit of garlic, minced onion, bay leaf, also a little bit of chili paste and tomato paste, and then also a little extra virgin olive oil. I would say at a minimum 4 hours, but overnight is fantastic. It really, really adds a great flavor to that lamb. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this lamb started. And also then I'm gonna talk a little bit while our pan's getting hot. The other component for the base of the dish is eggplant. And the way that I like to do this eggplant is to either put it on a grill and get a lot of nice char and then move it to the oven to finish, or cut it and roast it in the oven. The way that I like to roast it is just like this. I'll make a couple scores like this on both sides. Just like that. And then I'll put them on a sheet pan. I like to line the sheet pan with aluminum foil. It makes cleanup a lot easier. Then we're gonna drizzle it with a lot of olive oil, salt, pepper, put that in the oven and we'll roast it. Once it's roasted, then we'll let it cool and we'll scoop all of that flesh out, leaving the peel behind. So that's a great way to roast it. For today, I was lucky enough to have this wonderful product. This is a roasted, peeled, chopped eggplant. It's a Turkish product that we got, and it is in the can. So it really helps avoid all of that extra work, and in today's case, makes it a lot more simple for me. So fantastic, and the flavor is very good. Now our pan is a little warmer, so we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil to that pan. And then we're going to place our lamb in there. Grab my spatula. I'm gonna let that oil get nice and hot. And what we're gonna do with our lamb at this point is we are going to get it nice and golden brown on all sides. So we definitely want some color. I'm going to remove those bay leaves for now. Set those back here. All right. And that's about right there. So now we're going to carefully add the lamb. And we're going to spread that out evenly. And what I'm going to do now is I want to season liberally with our sea salt and fresh pepper. Up next on deck for the dish, we have some minced onion, tomato, green bell pepper, a little bit of garlic, tomato paste, and also some chili paste. So those are going to be coming up next. But we really want to get some nice golden brown color on this lamb. Again, that's really going to contribute a deep or depth of flavor to the dish. The particular cut that we're using today is a lamb shoulder. It is boneless. It does have a little bit of a fat cap, but I particularly prefer to use a little bit of that fat in the dish. It renders out, but it also adds a lot of really great flavor. All right, our lamb smells wonderful. I can't wait to give this one a taste when it's finished. All right, so we're just about there with the lamb. The next 3 items to go in will be our onions, our tomatoes, and our bell pepper. We just want to make sure that we get nice even color here on the lamb. We'll let that sit for just one more moment. In the meantime, I'll gather those last couple ingredients here. I've got a nice golden brown color, and we're going to add our onions. And we're going to add our bell peppers. And last but not least, our tomatoes. There we are. We're going to mix that in. And we want to cook the onions and the peppers until they're tender. Just a couple minutes here. And again, we're going to hit it with just a little bit of salt and pepper. I have a little bit of water here. If you prefer, you could also use a little bit of vegetable stock or beef stock if you wanted, or chicken. In the case of today, I think that there are enough components in the dish, especially with the tomato paste and the chili paste and then a little bit of garlic. I think that we're going to have enough to build up a very flavorful sauce. So now I'm going to hit it with a little bit of garlic. And once again, we're going to mix that in. Beautiful. Now it's time for our tomato paste. And also our chili paste. There we are. And we're going to mix those in. We really want that, both of those items to infuse all of that beautiful flavor into the dish. And we also want to let them cook for just a minute before we add our water. And then I'm going to take those bay leaves that I marinated with, I'm going to drop those in now. I like to simmer this with those bay leaves because they're still going to add a lot of flavor. They were in the marinade and now they're going to be here in the dish. Just before serving, we'll remember to remove those. The texture of a bay leaf in your mouth is not so pleasant. The flavor is awesome, but the texture of the leaf itself is not fantastic. And now we're going to add our water. Should be just about enough water to cover. And now what we're going to do is give that just a little stir. Just like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one over to this side of the stove. And we're going to let that come up to a boil. And then we're going to reduce that down to a simmer. In the meantime, now we're going to start with our eggplant. So the way that we're going to start this is almost like we're starting with a roux. So we're going to have a little bit of flour and a little bit of butter. This is going to kind of help thicken that dish. And so what I'm going to do is first melt a little bit of butter. It's about 2 ounces. I've also got some flour here. This is about 1/2 cup. And I'm going to mix that butter around. And as I'm doing this, I can also keep an eye on the lamb here. And it is starting to come up to a boil, so I'm just gonna drop it down just a little bit. That's typically gonna simmer for about 30 minutes or until the lamb is nice and tender. All right, so our butter is just about melted. We're gonna add our flour in. And we're gonna mix this around. Now that this is melted, I'm gonna drop the heat down a little bit. I don't want a whole lot of color to the flour or to the butter, so we're just gonna lower that heat a little bit. And we're gonna cook this for a couple minutes. I would typically say to cook your flour for 3 to 4 minutes. And the reason being is it can have kind of a grainy texture if you don't cook it long enough. All right, and the lamb is looking beautiful right now. It's just simmering nice and gently, and that's really what we're looking for. Okay, so we've got our eggplant next, and then we've got a little bit of whole milk. And then we also have, this is a little bit of a Parmesan cheese. But for this dish, you can really put whatever your favorite cheese is. In this case, I thought to use a little bit of Parmesan cheese. The flour smells really nutty right now, so it smells really great. Now we're gonna add our milk. And we're gonna mix this around. And what we should see here is that this should thicken up. And that is the flour. So you can see that, but the flour absorbed that milk and thickened it up. Quite lovely. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add our eggplant. Okay, at this point we're going to lower that heat down a little bit, and we're going to let both of these items come together and simmer. Our lamb's got about 20 minutes, and I'd say that the eggplant has about 10. So we're gonna let these simmer and we'll come back shortly. Our lamb has now had about 20 to 25 minutes to simmer, so the lamb is nice and tender. Also, our eggplant has had a chance to cook. I lowered the temperature on this one down. At this point now we're gonna season it with salt and pepper. All right, and let's mix that around. All right, and let's give that one a taste. It's perfect. All it needs now is just a little bit of cheese. Again, here you can utilize whatever cheese you like, and in my opinion you can't put too much. I've lowered the temperature quite a bit, and we're gonna let that cheese melt in there, and then I'm gonna finish it with just a little bit of butter, and that's really gonna make this creamy and delicious. Once that butter is absorbed in there, we're set. Lower the temperature here. Our lamb is nice. Let's taste that, make sure our seasoning's good. Also beautiful, it's fantastic. So at this point, we're ready to plate. And we're gonna start with our eggplant as our base. And we're gonna put a couple nice spoons of that right in the center. Okay, just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over to this side and get some of our lamb. And what we wanna do is we wanna get a lot of that lamb and some of the peppers and onions. And we're gonna put that right on top. Okay, and then last but not least, I've got just a little bit of parsley right on top. And there we have it. There is our Hünkar Beğendi.